Welcome to day 8, module 8 of our course on how to buy your first rental property in Cleveland in 2026 or 2027. So right now we're talking about property type. Okay. What property should you buy? Now, listen, I'm not going to judge you if some of these things you're like, nah, Andy, I hear you like about multifamilies or whatever else, but I want to do it this way. That's fine. But at least look at the principles of what I'm talking about here. So generally speaking, your best option is going to be a simple option, especially when you're starting out. I'm looking at, and you should do something like a 3-bedroom single family home, 1,200 to 1,600 square feet, a functional layout. Why? Because number one, it's a larger tenant pool. Generally, you're going to have tenants that are more stable. You're going to tend to attract those. So someone who's committed to a family. And again, there's fair housing on this, right? So, but the house, it naturally attracts a certain type. And just the way it is. And so a larger house accommodates a group of people that is more likely to have a long-term commitment and a desire to create stability for that same group from the leadership in that group. Get what I'm saying? So that 3-bedroom hits that spot, right? And you're looking for that longer occupancy, that consistency that potentially could come from that. Obviously, difference in housing grade and socioeconomic status make a difference. But in general, you're going to do better with that type of house. You want to avoid weird layouts. If there's no parking, my gosh, some of the most difficult issues I've had are from dealing with no parking. Of course, it's much worse on a house that there's multiple tenants, because then they're fighting about who gets the street parking or the parking issues. But on a single family house, we definitely struggled to rent those houses. This is not New York. Okay. This is Cleveland. So like Harlem or one of these places where all these big high-rise buildings, everything's all built up next to each other. Get it. Like they all expect that. If you live there, I'm Cleveland. Okay. In Cleveland, make sure there's parking. Got it? So avoid the weird layouts. Like I said, in terms of projects, if you're going to be doing a burr, avoid structural issues, avoid large amounts of mold. Like I get it. There's always the potential for money, but just remember when we talked about leverage. Okay. So like you have opportunity with all this work, but then you have a lot of complexity with all these contracts. Okay. And if you're not doing it yourself because you don't live in the area, maybe some people watching it do live in the area, but a lot of people do not. A lot of people that are watching this are looking in Cleveland. They don't live here. Okay. So what does that mean? You have to leverage labor for a contract, and you also are leveraging geography. So you're not in the area. You can't manage it. You can't keep an eye on it, right? All that complexity, also not real tightly managed. You just can only manage so well by the phone. You're going to pay for it, right? So just be careful. Even if you get a great deal, those contracting costs can easily bloom past any of the deal. And not only that, they take a lot of time, and you got to look at the cost of turn. So if you're doing a burr, you can't start another burr until you get your money back, right? Not saying you can't, maybe you can, but oftentimes like that money can't be used again until it's pulled back out with another refinance, right? So the speed of that renovation needs to come down to like simplicity of how you do it and how systematized you are and who you can find to do it reliably, right? And the size of the project. So you want to really look at that and simplify down and not do those big projects if you're trying to do something like that from afar. So, and probably not even if you're close, because it's still painful. And I know that based on the stories I've told you, So look to repeat, keep it simple, focus on what you want, and keep looking until you get it. And that is all I have for property type today. Again, tomorrow, we're going to be looking at how do you actually find these deals. So I look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Until then, think through it, get everything together that you can on everything we work through, and feel free to schedule with one of our reps to meet about property management if you think that makes sense. And also, as always, ask any questions you can. We'll be glad to answer as we can tomorrow.